Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. This is Joe Sora with the Experiment. And tonight we have our Holy Trinity episode edition. We'll be talking about football, basketball, and baseball. It's tailored towards my three Trinities, which is the Steelers, the Lakers, and the Dodgers. But again, I didn't choose these teams. It was bestowed on me through, I guess, divine intervention. My father, right, who's the representative of 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 those in power above, and here we are, 48 years later, introducing the Holy Trinity show on the Experiment to show a dead time in sports. I would say August, usually the end of August, is that dead period where now you have the NFL going into its last week before it starts prepping for the regular season. There's nothing going on in August, absolutely, really nothing going on in August, except maybe that free agent pickup or that trade that kind of comes out of nowhere. And then, of course, baseball is kind of getting to that end where the dog days are ending and you're now going to start prepping for the playoffs. So we'll get into everything here. I even had some friends of mine ask me if I talked about other things outside sports. Again, if this is the first time you've been here, the experiment is called the experiment for a couple reasons. Number one, we experiment off the cuff. And of course, the other part of the experiment is if you want to bring on something that's not sports related or Steelers or Lakers or Dodgers, you're more than welcome to ask and you shall receive. So to start the show, and I know most of my listeners and viewers are tailored more towards the LA sports side of this, but I'll get into the Steeler side first because Friday night's game was, I would say, probably the worst game I've seen them play in a while, in the preseason, anyways. And for about a week, I think Steeler Nation was anointing Drew Aller as the next Hall of Fame pick in the next 5 years. And I frequent a couple of Steeler forums and message boards and tried to put some distance with logic and excitement uh, in there by saying, "Listen, guys, this is." Can you give some people a few minutes to kind of acclimate? It's a preseason game. It's a preseason game in the third and fourth quarter, which is even lower than a regular preseason game because sometimes starters will play the first one or two series. This is like they're trying to find out who's going to make the practice squad, usually in the third and fourth uh, quarters. So the Steelers get their butts handed to them 17 to nothing in Pittsburgh in a regular season game where they just could not protect the quarterback, could not score anything, could not do really anything. And hopefully it was a little bit of a slap in the face to let everybody know, listen, this is just the beginning of something that isn't really going to really start until probably next year. Anyways, Aaron Rodgers is going to be going into his last season. You have a new coach with Mike McCarthy, whom, as good as he is on offense, it's going to take a minute for these guys to learn the West Coast offense. The West Coast offense is an extremely difficult offense to learn, and it's even harder to execute. Why? Because everything is timing, and everything has to be 2 or 3 seconds ahead of what the defense is doing. Otherwise, accuracy is hurt. Uh, Yak yards, which is what the West Coast offense generally relies on, which is short short corner routes, short seam routes, so that the timing is so perfect and the ball is distributed so well that the defense can't really catch up to how fast that is, and that's what allows the offense to do well. If you need any reference to that, all you got to do is watch early Niner games with Bill Walsh and those teams back in the 80s and 90s. Uh, John Gruden and his, you know, when he had a quarterback that could do that, he really never ever really did, especially in Tampa. He did have it with Rich Gannon, of course, but again, very difficult. And the Steelers are going to be going into their last preseason game here. Really trying to figure out what in the hell are they going to do about that offensive line. That is the biggest concern, at least for me. And I don't know if mini camp, training camp, preseason uh, has finally gotten to that point where things are just not going to click, because the Steelers weren't the only team in the NFL that had protection issues during the first couple of games in the preseason. They just it's just it is what it is. They don't really do a lot of contact, and Mike McCarthy already put in a rule where they're not going to be doing a lot of tackling and a lot of hitting to preserve these guys for the regular season. But man, did that offensive line look bad. And there was a couple players in there, Broderick Jones specifically. But to give him uh, a little bit of a lead on that is I think Broderick might be not only with his confidence, but I think his neck is likely going to cause an issue in terms of longevity in his career. I think based off what I've seen, performance wise, based off any kind of neck injury in the NFL, we could be looking at Broderick Jones having a very, very short career here and being out of the league probably in a couple of years, especially if the Steelers do not use him and he doesn't improve. That's just what it is, which would be a sad situation, obviously, for him. You don't like to see guys that are having career-ending injuries like that, which I think it might be. And again, it would be another bust in the first round that the Steelers have again, which has played a huge part on why the Steelers have not won a playoff game in 9 seasons. I also think that bad coaching played into that, bad development with that, bad coordinator decisions. So to keep the Steeler fandom in a humble way, you got to let this thing kind of play out a little bit. Mike McCarthy wasn't initially a coach that I was excited about when he got hired. However, he is a Pittsburgh guy. He is a Yinzer. And his first press conference, when I saw his demeanor and I saw the energy that was coming from him for coaching his boyhood team, a lot of times that matters, especially in terms of focus, especially in terms of getting things done. When you are somewhere where you really want to be, and you do have a talent. Mike McCarthy does have a talent. He can coach. He definitely can coach. How well? That's been debated. I would say I'm definitely one of those guys that thought he should have won more than one Super Bowl with an Aaron Rodgers in his prime. Uh, and there were some things that happened in some of the games in the last 15 years where you could say, well, is it really his fault? The muffed onside kick against Seattle that would have obviously, they had just covered that up. They would have went to the Super Bowl and faced the New England Patriots. We would have never seen I know Pete Carroll wishes that would have happened because we would have never seen the worst call in sports history with the goal line with Marshawn Lynch not getting the ball. But again, those type of things kind of rear their head because in the moment decisions, are you jinxed? All those things kind of play into that. However, Mike Brown winning the NBA championship as a New York Knicks head coach gives you a little bit of hope that if that's possible, anything is possible. Not to downgrade Mike Brown. Obviously, that I'm not doing that. But again, no one a year ago thought in a billion years that Mike Brown was the right hire in New York, and it ended up being the right hire, and they ended up winning. So, with the Steelers, there's going to be one more preseason game here that we're going to be able to watch and see kind of what what is going to happen, right? What is it going to mean something? Uh, I don't know. I don't know. The Steelers have an issue that I think hasn't been an issue for a long time, and it's been like that actually for about a year or so. A lot of people love DK Metcalf. I don't really dislike him, and I don't like him either. I'm kind of indifferent with him. I think he's out of position. He's really a number two receiver playing a one. He's not a one. He's not a one receiver in my view. It's not an accident that played a part in terms of Seattle winning it all last year without needing him. They didn't because he wasn't really a one, and he makes too much money to be a one. One is a Jamar Chase or a Justin Jefferson. Those guys are ones. DK Metcalf gets paid as a one, but he's really a two. That's like paying a good quarterback Patrick Mahomes money. It's a detriment to consistency. It's a detriment to wins. And with that, you have the Pittmans of the world who are always injured. And of course, he's injured again. I don't know if it's more of a precautionary thing. I'm hoping it is. But the Steelers don't really have a one receiver still. They don't really have a Jalen Warren is a good running back, but he's not really a one running back either. And in the NFL, you don't always necessarily need a one running back, but when you don't have any one receivers, it's kind of nice to have at least a one running back, which they don't have. Their offensive line is not looking good so far. Matter of fact, it looks worse than it did last year, and last year wasn't that good. And why is that important? Well, you're going into the last year of Aaron Rodgers, and you got to play 17 games plus a playoff game or playoff games if you're lucky. Well, what are you going to do there? Is Aaron Rodgers going to be getting hit every other play? If that's the case, then there's no way Aaron Rodgers is going to last 17 games in the regular season. The offensive line has to absolutely play its part here. Otherwise, it's going to be done. Done. It's going to be done. You're going to have Will Howard backing up Aaron Rodgers, or you're going to have Mason Rudolph. You're going to have Drew Aller, come in week 5 when you're up, when you're, let's say, 4-1. This team has no margin of error, and they don't have enough talent to not have a margin of error. And that is kind of where the Steelers are. Where what I noticed in this last game too, and it's an adjustment thing, right? Because they did so well in preseason 1 game. In preseason 2, whom Aaron Glenn and his team looked like they looked at film the week before, and they saw the West Coast offense, which is 3-step drop, slant, out, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 yard ins and outs. Make it quick, make it decisive, get the ball, run north and south right away. Well, the problem with that is if you're still not quick enough to register, which a lot these guys are not, they're too young. Rookie quarterback and a second-year quarterback who's not necessarily going to possibly make the team, which is Will Howard, right? You're if you just have a slight delay, if the defense can just slightly delay you, now that quick decision making needs a quicker decision to go somewhere else. And on top of that, if your right tackle is just letting the guy pirouette into the back, or the left tackle letting them pirouette into the back to sack you, you're really you're done. You're really not going to be effective in any way. So after preseason game 2, the Steelers have shown a balance from game 1 to game 2. They may sit in the middle of that. They looked really good in preseason 1. They looked really bad in preseason 2. What happens in preseason 3? My guess is it's just going to be a way for the younger guys to see if they can get some more reps. More than likely, not going to see any reps in the regular season unless injury happens. But they're going to have to make a decision on whether they're going to keep Mason Rudolph, Will Howard, and Drew Aller's not going anywhere. So it's going to be something where, are they going to practice squad Will Howard, and is he going to get picked up by somebody else? Because I think that's what likely was what's going to happen. Is it's going to be Rodgers. I mean, they could keep all 4. They could. They've done it before, but that's going to depend on the roster and the talent that's available. And the little monkey wrench also in this thing is there seems to be an impasse with Joey Porter Jr.'s contract, and I've seen this happen a few times. I'm gonna be positive and optimistic on this one because I've seen it happen so many times where it always sounds like they're all kind of basically waiting for someone to say chicken, and then once the season starts to get close, then all of a sudden a deal is made. Joey Porter Jr. is probably one of the few players that the Steelers have that is about to hit his prime, that is really, really good. And going back to what I was saying is this team, the Steeler team, doesn't really have that player. They don't have a first-team All-Pro difference maker on either side that really, really makes a difference. They haven't had it for a while. And that's playing a huge part in terms of why the Steelers are not competing in the playoffs. It's they're just bombing in these drafts too much, and Aaron Rodgers is going to be playing his last year, so this next quarterback, I'm a huge supporter in making sure that if it's Drew Aller or Will Howard, these guys do not see the field at all this year. They need a Will Howard is he's got bad lineage when it comes to NFL quarterbacks from Ohio State. Unfortunately, for a lot of people who don't know, Mike Tomczak's still the best Ohio State quarterback that I've ever seen. There was an Ohio State quarterback back in the day that I don't know about, maybe, but Mike Tomczak is still the best Ohio State quarterback. I know everybody, C.J. Stroud and all that. Okay, yeah, you could say he's probably better than Mike Tomczak, but it's still too early to say. And CJ really dropped off last year. I'm not impressed with his game at all. Whether he adjusts this year or not, I don't know. I'm not roting. I don't know. I don't know. There's something about the Ohio State quarterbacks that just doesn't translate to the NFL. And my thinking is if Will Howard is going to end up staying, he's either going to be on the practice squad or they'll carry a fourth quarterback to see if he can develop another year. But I see likely that Drew Aller will be the starting quarterback next year should he not have his confidence destroyed this year due to some kind of injury by Aaron Rodgers. I don't think he's in any way ready. I think he needs to sit. And I've talked about this for a while. I've talked about it a long time, actually. And you got to make sure the young guys don't get their confidence destroyed. I've seen it way too often. They let these guys in too early. Sam Darnold had to go to 17 different teams before he finally got comfortable in Seattle. You look at Baker Mayfield, he had to go to a few teams to the point where now, every team's just assuming he's going to continue to not get better. Well, it's hard to get better when no one ever really believes in you, right? So again, it's very gentle in Pittsburgh. It's very gentle. It's going to have to be very gentle here. And one wrong move, one wrong injury can just set this thing off. But we're going to find out. We're going to find out. Hopefully enjoy some games. Maybe they'll make a run. I don't know. I'm excited for football, but I'm also sad that it's been so long. It's going to likely be a decade here where the Steelers aren't likely going to compete for a championship, and you're going to have to rely on a second-year quarterback next year. So who knows when this is going to change. So that's the update on the Steelers. Again, preseason kind of has that. Otherwise, I'd go into it a little bit more. But if you have any questions, if you're watching this show and you're a Steeler fan, please don't hesitate to message me when the show's off live. A lot more. I do a lot more Laker and Dodger content on here, but the Steelers are my team. And a matter of fact, in a lot of arguments are number one, even above the Lakers and the Dodgers. But that's not really true. They're like my children. They're all the same. It's one A, one B, one C, or just 1-1-1. But again, if you are a Steeler fan, you're watching this after the show, please don't hesitate to send in questions. I'm pretty up to date on everything. I have a good memory on everything, and crossing my fingers that everybody stays healthy and Mike McCarthy pulls a Mike Brown for us this year. So, going into the next subject, I'm going to leave the Dodger thing last because obviously that's what's going on right now. But I'll go into the LA Laker news so far. The group got flown in other than Cameron Carr because Cameron Carr had to stay back for some rookie symposium crap. I thought that was a stupid thing. They should have let him go. He'll learn more hanging out with his boys than some symposium where he's got to learn about how, well, you got to save your money and you got to watch out for this. Man, these guys ain't going to listen to this shit. You could see it. They still do the same shit. Anyways, Luka Doncic flew in, the whole team, those who were eligible to go over there. Built a lot of chemistry moments, a lot of chemistry activities. Someone had mentioned that if LeBron was on this team, it wasn't likely that was going to happen. I think that's true because it truly was. It truly is now LeBron's ex-team. This is now Luka Doncic's team. So Luka flew everybody in, had a nice little potluck, whatever dinner that they were doing over there, and I like it. I'm not against the process. I think it's important to build some kind of camaraderie, without a doubt. What is going to happen though when the talent needs to be there, and these are the things that you have to look at. Is the talent going to meet the chemistry? If it doesn't meet the chemistry, then what happens? And that's really ultimately what I'm waiting on. I don't know how. Uh, I don't know that I look at chemistry the same way as most people look at chemistry. And if you've been a uh, if you've been a Laker fan for the last 30 years, like I have, I mean, I'm not saying they didn't have chemistry, the three-peat Lakers, but you had two guys that didn't like each other and still won. And I think that kind of cursed us in thinking, well, these guys didn't like each other and they were still winning. It's all about talent, right? But you can't always compare everything to Shaquille O'Neal and Kobe Bryant. Those guys are anomalies, and there's definitely an outlier situation there. Yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt. I don't know why the chat is not showing up on here. I don't know if I did something. Are you guys not able to comment? Hold on a second here. Let me look, guys. 1 second. I don't know what's going on here. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I don't know why I can't comment here. Weird. I'm gonna have to fix something here. Yeah, I don't know why. I don't know why, guys. I'm trying to look to see if I can fix this. Let's see here. Let me see if I can. I don't know if this thing. It updates stuff, and then I don't know what's going on. Let's see. Can't post comments to some. Okay, what the hell does that mean? Let me see here. Yeah, I don't know why it's off. I don't know why it's off. I'm trying to figure out where I can change it. Okay, where are we here? New comments will appear. I see. I don't see it on my. I don't see it in my settings. This is weird. That's weird. Totally derailed the damn show. Hold on, guys. I'm gonna try to see if I can find this. This has never happened, so I'm not sure exactly what happened. Where are we here? Let's see. Hold on a second, guys. 1 second. So we are. Where are we here? Come on, baby, get there. Trying to get to the. I'm gonna try to entertain and fix at the same time. But I know a lot of times you guys are asking questions, and I can't see it. But let me see what I can find here. Um, where are we here? Yeah, this is so weird. Why can't I've never seen this happen? Why would it just stop doing this? Comments disabled, notification disabled. Who the hell disabled it? I didn't disable it. This video has limited features. Comments disabled. What do you mean comments disabled? The hell does that even mean? Is set as made for. Oh my god! I don't even know how the hell that happened. No, not made for kids. There we go. This is what happens. All right, there we go. I think I might have fixed it. Working under pressure, guys. Working under pressure. Let's see if this worked. There we go. Hey, guys. Yo, I'm back. Oh, man. Sorry for those of you who are here for the first time. When he said it for the kids, apparently uh, I misinterpreted when I wrote it or when I clicked onto the yes, it's for kids. It didn't say, I didn't read that it would stop comments. I'm like, whatever. Anyways, I wrote, I had to switch it to no. Welcome, everyone. Please do your best to catch up to what I've been saying here as much as you can, and I'll answer any of your questions. But yeah, again, SB, I had put it on some kind of restriction with it said yes for kids. I guess I was supposed to put no for kids because apparently if you put yes for kids, it kills the comments. So anyways, we're back to normal, guys. Thank you for being here. This is the experiment. We went through our Steeler edition. We're going into our Laker edition. So the boys are in Slovenia. I don't know when they're going to be back. At this point, I haven't looked, but the chemistry with the team, it looks like it's going to be good, and it looks like there's a lot of youth there, so that's good. And playing the playing for each other a little bit more. I know that does play a part in this, but it's going to come down to talent too, folks. We've said this on a few of the shows. We're going to need this team to play better than they have before. That actually includes Luka, which is it's going to be virtually impossible to play as good as he did before he got hurt. But part of that too is, oh, we'll get to the tortas here in a minute, Chris. Don't you worry about that. But Luka's going to have to be an MVP to. Hey, Craig, good to see you. Sorry about the mishap on the comment section. He's going to have to be the MVP for this team to likely be a contender. And if he's the MVP, that means he's advanced everyone around him, right? That's the whole point of most valuable player. And everyone's going to have to step up their game. Austin Reeves is going to have to be available and better, which means he's got to be a better shooter this year. Walker Kessler is going to have to be better than he was. It's impossible that he won't be better than he was last year. He only played 5 games. So we have to go back from 2 years ago. He's got to be better. And is Quentin Grimes going to be better? And is Sexton going to be better? Is Jared Vanderbilt going to be better? The answer to that one is absolutely not. And, of course, there's some noise that started again today that the Lakers are likely going to make another run at Kuminga out of Atlanta. I think that's likely going to happen at some point because there's really no other way unless the Lakers say, well, we don't need a wing. They need a wing. And Kuminga needs a job. And he needs a starting job. And he's going to have to do some things to get the money that he wants. And he might have to eat it a little bit in L.A. to get it. But he's going to have to play the wing in L.A. And he's going to be the only NBA-leveled wing. So that part will play a big one. It'll be a big one once that deal is done, and I think it's going to happen. I'm pretty positive it's going to happen because there's a massive need, and there's no better place for someone like Kuminga to get out of this rut that he's put himself in terms of value and help the Lakers basically be a contender. And I don't trust mental cases. I think we as Laker fans saw what happened with Mr. Ayton. And I wasn't against bringing him in at the bargain price that he came in. How will you know until you see it, right? I don't blame them for going after him, but I do blame him for sucking. So those are two different things. It's kind of similar to the whole Russell Westbrook thing, where initially I thought, well, LeBron James can play with anybody, right? And Maybe Russell Westbrook as a third option, because at that time he was kind of tinkering between one and two. I said, but maybe as a third option he might actually have some value. Well, we were wrong. I was wrong, and in this case it's similar. It's like, well, what do you have to lose? You still need somebody that can play the wing. He'll be at a bargain regardless if he's going to be playing for the MLE type money or a minimum. Either way, you need him. He's healthy. He's young, so you're not having to worry about him being a Clay Thompson situation where he's not going to be able to play a full season without something weird going on. It makes sense, and if it works, it works. If it doesn't, hey, you gave it a shot. You needed that talent, and it didn't work out. And that's essentially where the Lakers are right now. How it plays out is going to obviously depend on health. And can Luka play MVP basketball? Absolutely, he will play MVP basketball. But being an MVP and a Laker is very difficult in the NBA. You have to be, without a doubt, the best team typically. The MVPs that Kobe, Shaq, Kareem, and Magic have won in their in Laker uniforms were all when they were dominant. We're all essentially one season. I say essentially because I think the last time Kareem won an MVP was the first year that the writers were voting, which was I think 1976. That was the last time he won an MVP, or a Laker won an MVP where he wasn't a one seed. So that's it. And then again, at that point, before the 76 season, the players would vote for the MVP, and he had won the MVP in '75, and I don't even think they went to the playoffs. I don't think they went to the playoffs in '76 either. I have to look back. I have to look at that one up. But anyways, so the Lakers have to somehow figure out who they are, and is the distraction of the front office going to be a problem as well? That is going to be interesting how that plays out. And I'm not a fan of the situation right now. I'm pretty upset, actually, that the new ownership team, and I put the double ears on that, folks, for those of you on audio. I don't like it. I'm not a big fan of Bob Iger, never have been. I don't know who the hell this Kushner kid is. All I know is he's a billionaire and he's brothers with some guy that I always called a statue, a porcelain statue. So, what is this team going to do? Because it does affect the court. When guys are coming to work, are these guys going to meddle? Are they going to take focus away from winning because they're trying to transition into this new world? We don't know that. We don't know. I've seen enough. I've seen front offices and players not get along and still win. I mean, the whole Bulls run practically was Jerry Reinsdorf and Jerry Krause just making everything worse for everybody and just being a pain in the ass. And Bulls were still winning, but they had Michael Jordan, and he was a maniac. He could win in a volcano, right? The Lakers with Kobe and Shaq, they won because it's Kobe and Shaq. I mean, you're talking about arguably the three best players of the last 30, 40 years, right? Who else? Who else had turmoil and still won? Really, when I look back, the San Antonio Spurs didn't have turmoil. The Miami Heat didn't have any turmoil in terms of front office to the players. Golden State Warriors didn't have any of those issues. This last 8 years have been separate champions all 8 years, so you really don't you haven't really. The only two teams that I can remember that still won with the kind of the front office or inner turmoil type stuff was the Lakers and the Bulls in the '90s. That was it. That was it. I just two lightning struck twice with those two situations. But if you look at the talent, you're talking about arguably the second greatest player of all time on that team, which is Kobe Bryant, and then you have the greatest player of all time in Michael Jordan, and of course you have Shaq in there as well. So you don't know. You don't know. You don't know how this is going to. History says that when there isn't any balance in the front office, it usually tails into the talent on the court. Hopefully, this is a difference. Luka has shown, though. Got to give him this. Luka has shown that he's kind of got the Kobe thing where whatever's going on around him, it doesn't matter. When he's on the court, he handles business. So that's a good thing. The questions I'm going to have on the court, just to get away from the front office stuff for now, is will these guys be better? Will Austin Reeves be better than he was last year? Will he be healthy at the end of the year? Will Luka be healthy at the end of the year? This is the second year in a row where Luka looks really good health wise. So maybe going from really bad health to really good health and still having to deal with some lingering stuff. Maybe now with another year under his belt, with the body kind of acclimating to the new in shape Luka, all that. Now maybe we can see Luka go 82 games and a playoff run without getting injured. Everyone else, we're going to have to wait and see. A lot of these guys are bench type players. Some of them are going to be thrusted into to third, fourth, fifth options during the year. We're going to have to see if this can work. We're not going to really know until we see what JJ Redick puts together, and that's just what it is. But looking at it from just the analytical part, looking at it from results from the past, the team likely looks like a 5-6 seed based off the talent. For them to exceed it, I'm gonna use the New York Knicks as a barometer on this. I don't think anyone thought the Knicks were going to win a championship last year. The Knicks sort of have been playing really good in the playoffs in years past, but we kind of assumed that, well, it's the East, and certain things in the East just never ever really ever stay consistent. When the Indiana Pacers went to the finals, and now the Knicks went to the finals, we didn't expect the San Antonio Spurs to botch 4 games in the same damn series. The series should have been a sweep. I mean, it's really no doubt. When you watch the games, there's no reason that the San Antonio Spurs should have lost a game in that series, but they did. It was a weird series. Happy to see the Knicks win. I have friends that are Knicks fans that have been waiting their entire lives for it, so I'm happy for them. Happy for Mike Brown, too. That guy got kind of messed with a lot the last decade and a half. And while I'm not really a big fan of his coaching, I think he does have value there. And it looked like that these guys bought into what he was doing, Karl Anthony Towns especially. And that was probably the biggest surprise. And that plays a huge part, man. That plays a huge part when you have a quote-unquote all-star and a star that's been a star, first overall pick. When that guy takes a back seat and says, I'm going to do the dirty work so that we can win, look what happened. I mean, it's imperative when it comes to basketball. When you have someone that has option 1 talent that decides, you know what, it's probably better that I'm not an option 1. Maybe sometimes even a 3 option is better so that this team can win. And that played a huge part in why the Knicks won. So the Lakers are going to likely have a dynamic like that, but not really, because they don't have a Karl Anthony Towns that could be like a bona fide second guy. I know a lot of people think Austin Reeves is that guy, but Austin Reeves is limited, and he's not a big. Bigs can sometimes, if they focus a little bit, even if they're not good at defense, they're still bigs. They still can create a problem with their size. Austin Reeves doesn't have the foot speed or the quickness in general to be that guy, right? He's a guard / forward. So it's a different dynamic, but maybe Walker Kessler becomes an all-star center. Throwing that out there, saying if this team can go up a level, it's probably going to need him to be that guy, and a guy that can play some defense, which is nice. This team needs some rebounding, man, and they need a big that can rebound. Rui Hachimura was not brought back, in my view, because of that. He just could not rebound. Yeah, he could shoot. Yeah, he was a good teammate. Yeah, he had his moments. But this team needs to not only rebound from the center position, but the forwards need to rebound. And guys like Jared Vanderbilt weren't able to do that. I'm not expecting a lot from him. And to bring him up, not to keep getting the dog on him, but it is what it is. I think a lot of the issues with the Kuminga situation the last few weeks, I think a lot of it was they were trying to get him out for him. They were trying to dump him out. And I don't think Atlanta wanted anything to do with him without some form of draft capital. And the team doesn't really have any draft capital. I mean, really, if you really think about it, I know the swaps can be used a certain way, but I don't think the Lakers want to do that anymore. I don't think they want to continue to just erode that even further when it's already done. So with that, what they do have is they got Jaden Hardy, who's on technically a expiring contract. Because Jared Vanderbilt, unfortunately, because of freaking Rob Pelinka giving everybody a goddamn player option, Vanderbilt has another year on his contract after this year. That's just death, right? If he had just given him a damn team option, they would have been able to trade Vanderbilt because he's making almost $12.5 million this year. And if they had gave him a player option, he would have taken it too. That's what pisses me off about Rob Pelinka. Why did you give him a player option? He didn't even deserve the contract you gave him. And you gave him a player option in year 4. If they had just given him a team option year 4, then Vanderbilt would have been traded by now because there is value in 12.5 million, almost 12.5 million on an expiring contract. So, sorry, I got a little heated there. But yeah, so I think the players that are involved have changed. I think they're going to send Jaden Hardy out for Kuminga and however they put together the deal and make it work that way. I think that's probably going to happen. It's probably a third team that can throw in a draft pick and things like that. So we'll have to wait and see how that kind of plays out. Let me get to some of your guys' comments here before I move over to baseball. Again, I'm sorry I didn't have the chat up. I was not aware that yes, this is for kids. I always get scared whenever I see the word kids, and I always say, yes, it's okay. This is not, we're not doing anything weird. Well, it's actually not for kids. I do curse, and it's late at night here where I'm at. But anyways, I got it fixed. Thank you for your patience. Let me get to your comments. Sports Baby, what's up? Hat's better. Yeah, that's good because I think you maybe put something in that small dome of yours. We're not kids. Where are we here? Let me get to Jay. There you go. Good. Let's see. Drip Show. Good to see you, brother. I don't know if you see it, Drip, but I got my own little Drip Show crown thing here for you. Thought it looked good with the new background. Where are the tortas at? So there's been a lot of talk about that at Dodger Stadium, and a lot of it is because it's been freaking hot as balls the last month. But I'm noticing there's not a lot of tortas at the games. That's probably why it's empty. The tortas don't want to be uncomfortable over there, man. They don't want to be uncomfortable with their Edgars over there, man. When you see a torta in 100-degree heat, look, they're already hot. They're already running hot when it's normal. A hot torta? Yeah, that's no bueno, man. Craig, what's up, man? Let's see here. Drip, thanks for the Shohei wooden poster. That's good. That's good. Everybody talking. Way to fix it, Joe, under pressure. Thank you for that. Appreciate it. Kuminga has held out in the past with the Warriors. Missed some of the season with holdout. Yeah, it's similar to like a football holdout. They don't want to pay what he wants. Does he bring the value? Do they see that if he does get it paid, is he going to lose interest? I think the Golden State Warriors, when you look back, and he had a little bit more. I would say he had a little bit more leverage because of his performance in the 2022 finals. But Jordan Poole, I think that situation, even though Jordan Poole earned it, he helped them win a world championship. They didn't want to make that mistake where they overpay for Kuminga and then all of a sudden he turns it off like Jordan Poole did. And that's probably, these owners do talk, and I think that's probably what's going on. And I think that Lakers are going to get him at a bargain, and it's worth it in the end, at least from my perspective. Thank you for having a show tonight. I can't deal with a lot of these podcast clowns. I've been on X more than I've ever been in my life. And Chris, you got to understand something here, man. These guys that are on, and this plays a part a lot on why this isn't, because it's changed. Everybody, anyone can get a podcast. Anyone can open up an X account and create movement, right? A lot of these clowns are doing what they're doing because they likely don't have any other way of making any money. They're doing it so that they can hope to get some kind of viral following so that they can make money. And it's pretty pathetic. It is pretty pathetic. A lot of these shows that do go viral, I mean, I did a bunch of schmucks sitting on a couch talking. Like, gives a shit? You know, if I'm going to come on and do a show, I want to come on to do a show because I want to talk about what's going on, get some nice feedback, do some entertaining, and that's it. Making a living off this, I would love to do it. But the reality is, we always hear about the lottery winners, right? We don't ever hear about the millions and millions of lottery losers. There is a little bit of luck in this, and obviously and if there's not the luck, you gotta put in the work. And am I willing to put in the work like these guys are, where I'm just trying to get attention? Fuck that. I ain't doing that shit. This is either gonna go the right way organically or it's not. Okay? I feel pretty happy. I got 203 followers as of the beginning of the show. Hopefully it'll be more by the time I'm done. But I was still able to get almost 600 views, right? I mean, that's pretty good. 200 subscribers and 600 views on a couple shows ago. I got over 100. Again, I only got 200 followers, guys. So what makes me realize there is that the people that are actually logged in and subscribed to the show are actually watching the show. It's not 15,000 subscribers and only 300 people are watching. I don't want that. If I'm going to have 15,000 subscribers, I want 8,000 at least watching when the show's on. Should that happen. But anyways, point is, if you're going to do this, in my view, do it organically. Do it real. If you can't make any money doing anything else, you're useless. You're worthless. And it's not going to be any better going on X and any kind of social media outlet and talking about the team you hate. These clowns are trying to get attention by crapping on the teams they hate. They're even more pathetic. I don't give a shit about the San Diego Padres or the Arizona Diamondbacks or the freaking New York Yankees. Who gives a shit? I'm an LA Dodger fan. If I'm going to go on X, I want to talk about and read about the Dodgers. And these clowns are talking nonstop because they know they're trying to get the engagement and the Dodgers move the needle. The Dodgers have been moving the needle even before this whole Mark Walter thing. So anybody tells you that that's what's moving, no. The same shit was happening before Mark Walter, the Mark Walter situation. When you're a winner, remember, guys, this is something that you got to take to your grave. It's important. This is part of the fun of doing the show, is that maybe I can instill some common sense to a little part of the world, right? So I feel like I've done some things. Losers talk about winners. Winners win. Losers who talk about winners are losers. It's not, oh, I'm just being mean. No, it's facts. Why would a loser talk about somebody that they don't like? Like a jilted lover, right? Why would you keep talking about somebody who jilted you? Because you're a loser. So, Chris, all you got to do is hit me up. If you ever want a show at times where I'm not doing a show, you got to talk to me, my man. I'll hook you up. I got guys sometimes that do hit me up like clockwork. Hey, man, when are you going to do your next show? To me, that has more validity in doing a show than anything else. When your audience, small or big, is asking you for a show, to me, that has more value than any engagement outside that. This is about making you guys happy. You guys are listening. You guys are spending your valuable time listening to me discuss topics and assessments. That means a lot. You don't this when you're in the quote unquote entertainment business, is what this is, getting paid or not, you have to respect your audience. Now, if they get out of hand and they're stalking you and doing weird things, like sending you letters, or that's a whole different story. But as far as if there's respect, and a lot of the respect is their time, you have to reciprocate. You have to appreciate that. So again, guys, you guys want a show, you guys know how to get a hold of me. Hit me up. Hit me up on the comments section. Hit me up on my Instagram. Hit me up on my X. It's all the experiment. You know how to get a hold of me. A lot of you guys are on my chat as well. So again, obviously that's a little easier on that forum. What's up with Duran? That's a good question. I think tough. The thing with the Durans of the world, right? They're in that kind of no man's land. They're in that no man's land of, are they really gonna be that good? And then you have to kind of make a decision. If I sign him up to a max contract, is he gonna outplay that contract? Is he gonna get that much better? It seems, and then you have to factor in the new CBA. The new CBA is just horrendous. Every day that deal exists just adds more stupidity at why these idiots decided to go with that CBA. It's just unbelievable what a horrid deal that was for the players. Owners are sitting back going, man, we don't have to pay anyone what they want, really. Look at Jaylen Brown. Yes, he's still making the Supermax being traded to Philly. But the reason why now the Celtics can't go on and having a Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum tandem that you could go back and say, remember that era of Celtic basketball, is because of that deal. Because both of them have Supermax deals. And that is what you're going to stop seeing. And you're going to start, and you have Victor Wembanyama, who's going to be the number one guy in this league for at least a decade, should he stay healthy. He had to take a pay cut in his first big contract. All while sitting and watching the largest free agent contract ever being given to anyone in Austin Reeves. Guys, LeBron James was underpaid his entire career. Kobe Bryant was underpaid. Shaq was underpaid. Michael Jordan was ridiculously underpaid. We're going to use LeBron as an example on this one. I've used it before, but I'm going to say it again. LeBron James in Cleveland moved that city. He may have not moved LA as much because it's the second largest market in the country, and it's the Lakers on top to boot. But LeBron James, in the 11 years he played in his two stints in Cleveland, was so ridiculously underpaid that if he was making $100 million a year, it would still not be enough for what that guy did to the local economy. And then you look at somebody like Shohei Ohtani, he's making $70 million a year. He's underpaid. Now, in baseball, there's no cap, right? There's no cap. He could have gotten paid more, and he probably should have been. But I don't think even the Dodgers anticipated this kind of dramatic value. Maybe they did. Maybe we didn't as a fan base. But seriously, no joke. If this is true, Shohei Ohtani's $700 million deal, especially with back-to-back championships, was paid off in that time. Like they made that money back. The Dodgers were the first baseball team in history to bring in $1 billion worth of revenue. It's the first time, $1 billion. And he only got $70 million from that. Or let's say if it was within 2 years. I heard 1 year. That's what I heard. But let's just say it's 2. So that's 140 million out of a billion. It's 14%. I guess that's not too bad. But just showing up and playing baseball, right? I don't know. 20% sounds a little bit better. But yeah, it's the NBA, boy, did the stars F themselves. And maybe that's what maybe they don't want stars. That's why these teams are winning. I mean, Jalen Brunson's good, guys, but I mean, when you think of Jalen Brunson or a Halliburton, do you look at those guys as talented as they are and go, "Oh my God"? I don't. Jason Tatum, Jalen Brown. Who's the last great player that you're just afraid of? I mean, LeBron had it, even though he wasn't stoic about it. Steph Curry was scary because he could hit from anywhere, right? Like, who is the guy that just put fear in your, oh my God, if this guy gets off, we're screwed? It's a very rare talent. To me, that's how you judge the ultra elite. And it's got to be with wins, too. Kawhi, when he was on, was scary because he could lock your ass up and hit shots, and he doesn't miss. That guy gets an open mid range. Hell, 3-point shot, he'll make it. So, Jalen Duren, in a nutshell, I think he's in that. I think what Detroit's going to do is likely going to see if they can get him at a price that they want him at, and they have the time and the leverage to do it. We needed a show, no sports tonight. Yeah, it was a perfect night for not having it. We should trade for DeAndre Hunter. No, we shouldn't. If he dies, he dies. Oh yeah, what's going on? They were up. The Pirates were up 2-0. I don't know what I got to. I'm kind of behind on the chat thing here. I have to catch up. Fans all year are going to compare Lakers and 76ers. Well, the 76ers on paper have a team that should go to the finals in the East, but that's going to depend on Mr. Joel Embiid. And if that guy does not stay healthy, which here's what's likely going to happen. I think what they're going to do with Jaylen Brown being there in his prime, Maxey being there, obviously Edgecombe. I think what's going to happen is you're going to see Joel Embiid and LeBron James probably play 45 to 50 games during the year. That's it. And they're going to let Edgecombe, Maxey, and Jaylen Brown take 70 to 75 of those games. Let them coast during the regular season, get a 1 or 2 seed, whatever it is, and then unleash LeBron and Joel Embiid, if he lasts, to go make a title run. I think that's probably how they're going to play this out. Well, Joe, we do have a better center this year. Maybe that will offset some Rui, Braun gone. Well, at least he's gonna play better defense than both, and he's a big, and this is somebody that apparently Luka wanted. So we're gonna have to see how that plays out. SD has been winning. Mike Brown on Lakers was a disaster. Well, SD, let me go back to SD. SD's been winning. The San Diego Padres have the same methods during a 6-month regular season setup. They come out the gate hot, then they hit the shits for 2 months, and then they get hot again, and then they tail out at the end of the regular season, and then they get waxed in the playoffs. I don't see any reason why this team ain't going to do the same. It's what it is. Even with Tatis kind of coming into his own. So until that process changes, I'm just going to assume that they're going to continue to win, and then as soon as the ending of the regular season starts to come into focus, they'll start to kind of scale back. They'll go into, maybe they'll win the wild card game, maybe not. Maybe they'll get into the NLDS, get waxed, whoever it is that they end up playing. We'll find out. Mike Brown on Lakers was a disaster. He actually wasn't too bad in 2012. The series that the Lakers lost to Oklahoma City, and this is on record, Pau Gasol and Kobe Bryant cost the Lakers 2 of those games. One Powell and one Kobe. Kobe's worst series of his career was the 2004 finals, and then the last one was the 2012 series against the Oklahoma City Thunder. Because Mike Brown had a good process. I mean, he had some good coaches with him too. By the way, Quinn Snyder was on that team. He was on. They had some good coaches, some good assistants. And you guys know I don't give two craps about assistant coaches. But he had a good crew there, and he had a good game plan. And in both those games that they lost to Oklahoma City, they should have won those games. They should have won that series. But Kobe and Powell hit the wall, and that series is really where things never really recovered. Walker Kessler rebounds like Lakers have not seen since Shaq. Oof. I got to see that one to say anything. I don't really have an answer to that one. Walker Kessler, maybe winning a rebounding title. If he does, would be good. Steve needs rebounding bad. If he can get 12 rebounds a game, they're already on their way. They're already hugely improved at that point. I have a feeling Walker's going to surprise us. I really do. That's the one guy that won't surprise me if he surprises us. Because he's young, he's a big, can play defense, and can rebound. Okay. Can he stay healthy? If he stays healthy and Luka's the guy that's the machine, then I think good things can happen. Thoughts on Jed York getting arrested for prostitution? Oh man, JY. I grew up in the Central Valley, a town called Turlock, California. Same town that Colin Kaepernick grew up in. Matter of fact, I knew the Kaepernicks. Very close to that family too. Was close, I should say. The story of the Yorks. Eddie DeBarlo owned the team. Eddie DeBarlo was the Dr. Buss of the NFL for 13 years. I think it was 13 years. Eddie DeBarlo got himself in some casino thing in New Orleans, something weird like that. And the NFL said, we need to suspend you for a year or whatever it was. And he relinquished power to his sister, whom was married to, not the guy that got caught today or yesterday, but the other York, the father, I believe. And then they never gave Eddie the team back a year later. And since then, the Niners have never been the same. And the Yorks run an organization like a corporation, whereas Eddie DeBarlo ran it like a maniacal, crazy man that wanted to win at all costs and was high-end, first class, especially in an era at that time, even the Dallas Cowboys, when Tex Stram owned the Cowboys. Like, teams back then, as popular as the NFL was, those owners like Art Modell and even that sap Mike Brown of the Cincinnati Bengals is still alive somehow. Those guys always ran the football teams like morons. They ran it like a freaking convenience store. Eddie DeBarlo ran it like a freaking mafia setup, like high-class suits, good food, everything on point. They won, and they won, and they won. And then he got caught doing something he wasn't supposed to do, relinquished power to his sister and his father or brother-in-law, and then the Yorks have owned it since. And they've never really, in my view, ever really. I know that Niners have gone to 3 Super Bowls since, but the mystique is gone. The mystique of going from winning 5 Super Bowls in 5 tries to now losing. They're known to lose Super Bowls. So, Jed York and the York family have always been dirty. Never liked how they looked. You saw him in his jumpsuit this morning. He looked like a dildo with a freaking DOC jumpsuit. how did this? And then I saw his ex-wife that apparently he was divorcing. I'm like, the only reason why this lady was with this guy, this little munchkin, was because he's rich. Like, you can't get that kind of good-looking woman like that unless you got money, man. Come on, and you're looking like a damn hobbit. So, in a nutshell, not surprised that a York got caught doing the Robert Kraft type thing. Robert Kraft was always not as obnoxious as Jed York or the Yorks, but just you could tell. You could just tell. This I don't this white trashy people. They're trashy people. Coincidentally, this guy went to some trailer park place to find some hooker that was on the undercover. I'm like, really? Like, is that what the local police is doing right now? They're trying to catch people getting things at this trailer. What is this trailer park? Is it like the Sapphire of trailer parks? The Sapphire strip club of trailer parks? I don't know. No solution to trash. There never is. Doesn't matter how much money you make, how much money you can buy stuff with. When you're trash, you're trash. And apparently Jed York is as trashy as they get. I have to watch Kessler's minutes. Hasn't watched much in the last few. See, that's the point right there, man. Watching a kid's minutes. How about this guy plays 75, 80 games? How about that? How about that? How about we get that once in a while instead of, hey, we got to watch his minutes. Fucking garbage. Let's see here. 2 second rounders. Looney just got married. Yay. I think Looney is more of a veteran voice. Looney is washed, guys. He's going to be the backup of the backup. Mamu's going to be in there a lot more than you think. And that's the part that we got to talk about. We got to wait and see, can Kessler play when the team needs to run, and can he guard teams that are high octane shooting from the perimeter type teams, which is pretty much all the teams these days. Can he be effective? Will he be drawn out from the rim? If that's the case, it's going to be a problem if he can't hit a jump shot or can't guard perimeter and the paint at the same time. He's going to need to be in shape, that's for sure. Yes, sir. Joe, the finger kind of looks like a penis. What finger? What the hell are you talking about? Thank you, Joe, with Sports Baby and Drip Show, Wooden Canvas. Yeah, again, I know Vari had some issues packing it in, but it was good wood. So good choice on that, Chris. Let's see here. I have to admit, I watched your show 200 times the other day. Yeah, sure you did, Bill. Joe, how do you really feel about these insurance companies gambling with consumers' money? It's really a bigger version of it's the biggest version of a Ponzi scheme if you think about it. The insurance companies are all a Ponzi scheme. Now, that's not technically true. Again, it's got to be backed up for it. If it's backed up, it's not. I'm saying in certain instances, there might be somebody taking a shot. You could even look at Social Security, because it's been said for how many years? Well, Social Security is going to run out. I'm like, wait, didn't people just put their money in here? What do you mean they're going to run out? That doesn't make any sense. That's a Ponzi scheme. You just fucked everybody. So from the little that I've done, because again, it's very hard to believe anything online anymore, even if it's credible, quote unquote, credible people. It's hard to believe anything. But from what I heard, when it comes to insurance money, they like the money that's being put into these, like the money that's allocated, they want to spread that money out than have it go to like one or two places. So why? I mean, if common sense says the more diverse the investment, the more likely you're not going to crash, right? Like if you put all that money in two places and they both go to crap, oh my God, you just screwed everybody. He just Enroned everybody, right? So they like diversification. And again, I'm not an insurance lawyer. I don't know. I'm just using common sense here. So from what I heard is Mark Walter used that money through the insurance companies to not diversify. He went into only a couple places. So let's use the Lakers as one, and let's just say use the Chelsea thing as the other. So essentially, from what I'm understanding a little bit, is he put it in too small of an area. It's not diverse enough. It's in two areas. And maybe he assumed, look, it's a sports team. It's the Lakers. It's whatever. These teams don't lose value, which there's a lot of truth to that. But maybe there's provisions in there saying, yeah, but you don't know that. What if there's a pandemic and we don't, none of these teams play for the next 4 or 5 years? Then what are you going to do with the value of the money, right? Like, I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there. So let this be a lesson to anybody who works with money on a daily basis, which we all do. My advice, my money advice to you all is if you're not willing to risk, and I mean risk, every billionaire risks to this day. Some get caught, some don't get caught. Some get caught, pay for it, arrange something where they don't get hit too hard, pay the fines, blah, blah, blah. This is like an audit. All this was an audit. An audit, and then just like if somebody is cheating on their taxes, oh shit, you didn't claim this stuff that you made over here. Now we're gonna fine your ass and you gotta pay the principal. It's pretty much that. It's pretty much what's going on. So now he's trying to liquidate so that he can put that money back where it belongs. He's gonna pay probably some kind of fine, and then everything goes back to normal. They don't want to put this guy in jail. They want him to get the money, because then they don't have to deal with the people that invested in this. When we say insurance, we're talking about life insurance stuff. Those guys that always tell you, hey, you want to put X amount of dollars every month so that you can, have money tax-free, blah, 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 when you're 60, when you do it at 30. That's what this was. Problem was it wasn't backed up. At some point somewhere, there was nowhere of, hey, if these guys all cashed in, are we going to, whatever the rules are on that, got broken. And Mark Walter maybe thought, hey, I'll try to do what I'm doing here, and then I'll make up for it with something else down the road. Maybe he did that, but it was too late. Maybe somebody ratted him out. A lot of these things usually come back to getting ratted out. I was just watching the Pee Wee Herman documentary. I've seen it a few times. I really enjoyed Paul Rubens during his career. I always thought he was an extremely underrated actor. I mean, he was a phenomenal actor. Pee Wee Herman, obviously a big part of my childhood, very, very, very integral part of my childhood in terms of watching his movies and occasionally watching his shows. When you look at the two instances that he had, where he got caught in that adult theater and then also got accused of being a pedophile, both times he got ratted out. Especially on the last one. And I'm not going to go into the detail on those things. I think you should watch the documentary. It's a really good one. But when you're succeeding too much, you have to watch your back. Even when you're not doing anything wrong, or even if you're doing a little bit of maneuvering, man, if you do one guy wrong, one lady wrong, whatever, they're gonna send the dogs at you. They're gonna try to get you. That's why you got to keep that attitude. If you're gonna have an attitude with things, make sure it's in your inner circle that you know for a fact no one's going to betray you. Because if you don't, you will get ratted out by somebody at some point. And if you're somebody that's famous or rich, the media and all those rats and those cockroaches that you see on like an X, they're just waiting so that they can cream in their pants and post about it. Oh my God, the Dodgers owner. Oh my God, all this stuff that they've been doing is all fake. Even though you tell them it has nothing to do with the Dodgers. He bought them in 2012 through a whole different setup. Oh, they got Otani because they cheated. They just want to believe that the talent is never there. It's all a sham because they're a sham. And they're cockroaches. I mean, cockroaches. Lower than a cockroach. And some of those guys are lower than a cockroach. The cockroach is shit. It's a pretty interesting response when you call someone a cockroach, and then when you call them a cockroach who's the cockroach's shit. Because that's something you hear every day, right? I don't know where it came from. It just came out one day. And man, the ferocity. Wow. Especially when it's face to face. Like, you're the shit of the cockroach. I guess people don't really ever hear who they really are. And when you hit that target, you hit that nerve. I got you. I got you. So yeah, Mark Walter apparently screwed up pretty bad, but it's not gonna. He may sell his 27% in the Dodgers, but the Dodgers are not gonna sell anywhere else. The Guggenheims are not selling the Dodgers, and whoever their other investors are not selling. So eat a dick, cockroaches. Eat your own shit, because nothing's gonna change. God help you should the Dodgers three-peat, because this is what you have to look forward to here after the three-peat. There's going to be a lockout December 1, and that lockout is going to go through spring training, beginning of the year, and probably at worst through the All-Star break. And you're probably going to see an 80 to 100 game season next year. And guess what? The recipe for disaster for everyone is giving a team that's gone to the World Series and won it 3 years in a row an 8-month break. I want you to imagine that. An 8-month break. And Shohei Ohtani is going to be able to pitch one more year next year. Should it be 80 or 100? And he's going to go after the Cy Young at that point. He'd be able to pitch an 80 to 100 game season and probably win the Cy Young and probably win another MVP. And then you guys are going to have to deal with the fact that the Dodgers might four-peat because of that break. So a lockout, salary cap, or not, nothing's going to change. Tarek Skubal is going to be a Dodger, by the way. He is going to get signed. He would not have been traded to LA. He's not going anywhere else. The Dodgers need another pitcher because guess what, guys? Next year, I don't see Shohei pitching again. Not in the sense of a full-time pitcher. I think you'll get him in spurts, and that's about it. So next year, you guys better hope you take out the Dodgers this year. Otherwise, a four-peat's coming. It's not just going to be a three-peat. And you're going to see Shohei Ohtani probably get the Cy Young next year. So that's what you have to look forward to, you cockroaches. That's what you have to look forward to. And I'm going to be here and tell you who you are. The Dodgers are going to confirm it. Too bad, so sad. I know you're a busy man. I don't want to bug you texting you from you due to... I don't really get bugged when you text me or message me because that's all I do all day. When you operate your own business, technology helps. Most of it is through the phone, and by it doing that, it keeps me available. I can go anywhere I want. I'm not tied to a desk or a computer. So, plus you're my boy, man. You did bug me. What is this bugging business, man? You don't bug me. I appreciate your knowledge about all things sports and grass. That's funny, pal. That's a good one. That's a good one. I haven't talked about grass tonight at all either. Tim Duncan. Tim Duncan. Larry's bird was scary. Sorry, Craig. I don't know what the Tim Duncan reference was for. 10th inning now, 2-2. I know I'm behind. What is it? 30 minutes now. For all I know, they won. Quentin Grimes and Colin Sexton will be huge for us when Luca and Austin are out. Cross my fingers that that's the case. I don't know that. These guys are generally bench type guys. Some of those guys might be starting. So, yeah, we're gonna have to see how that plays out. I don't have any assessment yet on how their skill set is going to define this team yet. I'm gonna wait and see how that plays out. What do you think of Avengers Doomsday? I don't know. My my wife's birthday was last week. She wanted to go watch Spider Man, and anytime I can get all my kids and I and my wife to go watch a movie together, I don't care what we're watching. I'm just happy we're together. I saw the Spider-Man movie. I was good, but I have to admit, I have not been excited about movies for a very long time. I am the movie guy too. Like I'm still quoting movies from back in the day. I love the movies that I've watched in my life, but I have not been excited about really anything for a good decade now, maybe even more. So I don't. The Avengers was a good setup. I think they, like most things with these guys, they saturate it to the point where it's exhausted, and they don't know when to shift to something else because they're just greedy asshole idiots. But I think a lot of the ways they make movies now is not something I really take seriously. I think the way the awards, I mean, awards have always been kind of hammy a little bit, but at least the talent was there. You know, guys that weren't winning Oscars in 1993 or 2008, you're sitting there going, well, how is Robert Downey Jr. going to win when Heath Ledger was in there the same year? How is Pulp Fiction going to win more awards when Forrest Gump was there? And you look at the year Shawshank Redemption in '94. You had Tombstone. You had Shawshank. You had like you had all these epic movies all at the same time. Sometimes the best team doesn't win that year, or the best person doesn't win that year, because there's so many other damn good teams and so many other damn good actors. Avengers Doomsday, the fact that you have, and we know why they brought Robert Downey Jr. back, because he's essentially the engine of the whole thing. If Robert Downey Jr. doesn't hit on Iron Man, I don't think we ever see the grandiose of the Avengers thing without him. But for him to be Iron Man and then he's Doomsday, I don't know. I just don't. I'm not buying that. I don't know. I'll probably watch it, but only if it's in a situation where the kids want to go and watch it and we're together to watch it. But if it's not that, I'm not. I just don't have any desire to cut time out of my day to go watch it. What the hell is a Hobbit? Uh, Watch The Lord of the Rings and you'll see. Tough movie. If you're not well off by life insurance, your family will be taken care of in case you die. Yes, it's important to make sure that that's the case. It was a good documentary, and it's sad how they were trying to get him, and the documentary didn't talk about the people that he kind of screwed over during his career. It was very Hollywood esque screw overs, not necessarily screwing people over, but it's not an accident that he pissed off people that eventually try to get him. My boy Blue. Carlito's Way underrated. I don't know about that, Chris. I'd say it's pretty damn rated. Carlito's Way is a masterpiece. Brian De Palma's probably is maybe not the most popular movie, but I think it's the greatest movie he's ever directed. Carrie was amazing, obviously. One of the greatest horror movies of all time. Obviously, Scarface. But I think Carlito's Way is his masterpiece. I think that's his Star Wars. It really is. Carlito's Way is a ridiculously repeatable watched movie. I mean, it is really good. I don't think it's underrated. I think it's rated. It's right on point. Shawshank about as perfect as you can get. Yeah, man. I took me a minute to watch that one. So uh, I got a lot of shit for that too. I didn't watch it till like the 2000s, even though it had been out for a while. But man, once I did, talk about a repeatable watch movie. That's another one. That's another one where it didn't do well at the box office, which was weird. But man, did it hit. Sometimes some of these films are ahead of their time. Scarface was ahead of his time, and Shawshank was definitely ahead of its time. But it got its due from like few years after it came out and beyond, and it always will be. Heat, Robert De Niro, Al Pacino. Yeah, Heat was like I equate Heat to the Yankees and the Dodgers in 2024. You had the rare time where you had the prime number one and number two, or one and one A, where you had the two MVPs in their prime battling. Yeah, De Niro and Pacino in 1995 was they had done amazing work before then, but they were still in their prime, and that was the perfect movie at the perfect time and the perfect story for it to hit. Donnie Brasco, oh man, Al Pacino. Notice there's a theme here. A lot of Al Pacino movies. I feel Al Pacino is the greatest movie star that's ever lived, and the only one that maybe is on par. I know De Niro has an argument there, obviously the Marlon Brandos and all that, but I wasn't around for Marlon Brando, so I didn't really know. Uh, but it's really Al Pacino and then Meryl Streep for women in my lifetime. I don't think I don't think anyone. I think those two have the top spot, male, female. Al Pacino, the greatest movie star in my view, because I was able to watch his movies and know what I was watching in his prime. Meryl Streep as well. I think those are the one and those are the two best ever, greatest movie stars of all time in my of the last 50 years. I'd say it's very hard to argue that Al Pacino and Meryl Streep aren't the number one male and the number one female movie stars of the last 50 years. Goodfellas, of course, goes without saying. I just learned that Al Pacino turned down the Jimmy Conway role. He didn't want to be typecast as a gangster. And then, of course, he ended up doing Dick Tracy that same year, playing the character Big Boy. But I don't see, as much as I love Al Pacino, De Niro is Jimmy Conway. There's no way, I cannot, as great as Al Pacino is, I cannot get De Niro out of Jimmy Conway's character. There's no way. De Niro is Jimmy Conway. You cannot, that was a win. That was a good one that he refused, and perfect that De Niro took it. So Jack Nicholson, there's definitely an argument there, for sure. You could say Jack Nicholson has won in the last 50 years, for sure. But there's something about this, just something about The Godfather, Scarface, Detective Hannah, Big Boy. Man, this Al Pacino has had. You're lucky if you have one character that you're defined by. This guy has like 10. That's just not normal. Jack Nicholson is Jack Nicholson in every movie, even as the Joker was Jack Nicholson. But Al Pacino is an Italian godfather. He is a pissant Cuban immigrant. He is Puerto Rican. He is some weird looking cartoon and whatever. The guy plays. He's a damn chameleon. Can play anything, and they're iconic names and iconic roles. That's acting, in my view, when you can immerse yourself in all this stuff. And again, Daniel Day-Lewis is probably number one for a lot of people. But I'm talking more movie star. It's more of the movie star part. The greatest movie stars, in my view, is Al Pacino as the male and Meryl Streep as the female. Greatest actor, I don't know. How do you define the greatest actor? How does that work? What, Daniel Day-Lewis is a better actor than Al Pacino or Robert De Niro or Marlon Brando? No, that's not. It's like saying Tom Brady is a better quarterback than Joe Montana. It doesn't make any sense. Basketball is different. Baseball is a little different because basketball and baseball are very individualized. Even though baseball is you need a good team to win, whereas in basketball, one player can make that much of a difference. It's still an individual game. You have baseball's the only sport that doesn't hold on to the title for a player as much as it does for the other sports. So it's easy to pick a singular player that might be the best. A Babe Ruth, Barry Bonds, Shohei, Michael Jordan, LeBron, Kobe, right? A little easier to judge that. But with acting, it's like, what do you say? Oh, well, Daniel Day-Lewis is a better actor than Al Pacino. Is that true? I think that's more of the NFL side of things. There's too many positions. There's too many different roles to define somebody as better. Too many different. NFL has had too many rule changes to justify that. If you put Joe Montana in an era where he wasn't getting destroyed by Leonard Marshall and Lawrence Taylor, he still played 16 years. Who's to say he wouldn't have won 6, 7 championships? You don't know that. So, yeah, that's kind of where that is. Cuckoo's Nest was an amazing movie. I haven't seen it in a while. I gotta rewatch it. Apocalypse Now, another great one. Yeah, really good movies there, guys. So I want to get to the Dodgers here before we head out for the night. And for those of you again who are on here for the first time, the show is called The Experiment, and a lot of times we'll venture out to pop culture. I even had one of my friends talk about if I would discuss menopause with her. I said, come on the show and we'll talk. Now, I don't personally know what about menopause, but I am around a lot of women, my wife included, and she's getting into her latter years, of course, like I am. So that's the time, right? And of course, a lot of my friends that I've grown up with are all in the same boat, and some of them are female. So yeah, we experiment here a lot, but we do like to stick to the sports here, and the holy trinity of my sports life is what you see below. And the Dodgers right now are on a 6-game winning streak. This is after they were struggling at the beginning of the month, kind of a scheduled struggle that played a certain way, which is they ended up playing the D-backs, the Red Sox, and the Cubs when all three were on fire, and they were not. So it was, kind of horrible luck on their end to where they couldn't kind of get out of their own way on with those games. And then of course they ended up running into the Milwaukee Brewers, which should have been a split, but Edwin Diaz blew game 1 and set the stage for what eventually ended up being here the last 6 games, a winning streak where they're now only a game back of the best record. Now the Brewers do have the tiebreaker, but we're going to find out here if the Dodgers are really going to go after the 1 seed. I don't think they are. I think they've gotten some distance from the 2 seed, and tomorrow they could pretty much put that away. If they end up winning that series against the Braves, I think that's it. I think the Dodgers will likely close out at least the 2nd seed, which is all I care about. I don't want to face a possibility of meeting anyone in the wild card game that might be a San Diego or a Philly team. Those are very dangerous teams in a 3-game series. Very dangerous. I don't even like the NLDS. That's too small. So the Dodgers have to absolutely get the 2nd or 1st seed before it's all said and done, and then I'm a little relaxed at that point. Tomorrow, some good news coming this week. Where Tyler Glasnow will be back after a 3-month hiatus. He will pitch in game one against Atlanta in Atlanta. Uh, Roki will be pitching game two, and then Yamamoto will be pitching game three. Roki's been pitching very well since the All Star break, so no worries there. And of course, Yamamoto pitching always gives us a shot to win. And then the next series is going to be against Detroit. Tarek Skubal will be pitching on Thursday, and then word is coming that, of course, Snell will pitch on Friday or Saturday, and then uh, word is there's a possibility Shohei may be pitching the last game in Detroit on Sunday. So Dodgers are on a 6-game winning streak. I'm thinking to myself how this week can go, where it's in a positive area, win 2 of 3 in Atlanta, and then sweep Detroit. Win 2 of 3 in Atlanta, sweep Detroit. You end up winning 11 of 12 games in 2 weeks. That probably cements the 2 seed at that point. And then they can maybe go after the 1 seed if the Brewers go on a little short losing streak or whatever. Yeah, Lauer is going into the bullpen. Wroblewski's into the bullpen. Sheehan had a pretty good outing today down in the minors. I don't know if they're going to bring him back up at some point to be in the in the in the bullpen for the playoffs. But yeah, the Dodgers have an opportunity here to pretty much distance themselves here going into the last month, and then at that point, cross our fingers that Pajes gets back and feels good, and then word is that Will Smith will be back next month as well. I think he's going to be doing some rehab work here this week. If Will Smith comes back and gets himself into shape within about a month and goes into the playoffs, last year broke his hand, broke his offhand on a scattered pitch or a foul tip that hit his hand, his right hand, and he ended up having one of the best, most clutch playoff runs ever. We're hoping that Andy Pajes can be in the same boat. He's been pretty consistent all year, but he has struggled in the playoffs. He's been horrible in the playoffs the last 2 years. Hopefully this year is different. But if you can get Will Smith back catching, even Dalton Rushing is slated to come back. The thing with Dalton is he's not going to be catching likely the rest of the year. He will be a pinch hitter off the bench. So you got that guy that can hit lefty. So that's good. But they're going to want him to throw with his slightly torn ulnar ligament, so that hopefully he doesn't have to deal with a possible Tommy John surgery for a damn catcher. Even catchers are getting this damn thing. So yeah, so that's kind of the update on the roster and what's going on. There aren't going to be any restrictions from what I'm hearing on Glasnow. So if Glasnow is pitching and striking everybody out tomorrow, and if his pitch count is within reason, you could see him go 6 pretty comfortably, possibly 7. So it's not going to be a 5-inning run unless, of course, he's got 90 pitches in 5 innings. So cross our fingers that Glasnow can start serving the strikeouts, and this team's offense continues to do what it's been doing here the last week, because I think they're gonna need 5 to 6 runs in each of these games to have a shot at winning the series. Let's see here, where are we? What did you think about fans giving Tucker an ovation? I'm not gonna give you the R-rated version. I'll give you the PG-13 version. I think it's stupid. I think it's pathetic. I think it's little leagueish. It's a grown man making $60 million a year, and you gotta put up pom-poms to make him feel good about himself. Chuck Noll, former Pittsburgh Steeler coaching great, NFL great. He had a quote years ago. He said, "If I have to motivate you, I will fire you." Now, you can't fire Kyle Tucker at this point, but if Kyle Tucker can't get out of his own way mentally, then that's not a real man. And baseball is a very humbling sport. He might have a bad year. I mean, look at Look at Guerrero Jr. up in Toronto. Look at Cal Raleigh. Cal Raleigh. Does Cal Raleigh still have less hits this year already, going into September, than he had home runs last year? That is one of the most shocking stats I think you'll ever see. And I saw Chris Davis stink those last few years in Baltimore. Talk about getting Chuck Knoblocked mentally. At least Chuck Knoblock was, it was a throwing situation. Even Steve Sachs had that issue where he froze, he couldn't throw the ball. But Kyle Tucker, looking at his swing, it's broken. His swing sucks. And his fielding is what really has pissed me off, actually more than his bat. Because the fielding part has shown that he's kind of a wuss. Like, dude, every time you get close to the warning track, you kind of fidget and dude, you want a gold glove. What kind of mental weakling are you? So I'm not very happy with Kyle Tucker. I don't like his mental makeup. And there was some warning that he was a little bit aloof, but hell, I watched Eddie Murray play for the Dodgers all those years. He was known as a guy that was aloof. So I didn't put any mind. You know, baseball players are a little different than, let's say, football players and basketball players. A lot of baseball players are not about the fame. Like there's like guys like Will Smith. They don't like fame. They're like, just let me do the interview and get out of here. I have a lot of respect for that. I don't have anything against it. Kyle Tucker is a very kind of introverted, looking like a kind of introverted type of guy, which is fine. But if Kyle Tucker is playing better this year, this team is winning 5 or 6 more games. And you're not having this issue. So that's how bad that is. Wins above replacements. The reason why that becomes such a huge statistic these days is because it's a difference between a 1 seed and a wild card berth. Now that's always been the case in you know, in terms of playoff, no playoff. That's always been there. The statistic wasn't looked at as much back then, right? But now that we do know about it, think about that for a second. If Kyle Tucker is just having a solid season, you tell me, I've seen every game. You tell me, he's bringing at least 5 or 6 more wins, right? Because how many of those games that they lost where he didn't do shit when it was bases loaded, or there was a man in scoring position and they really needed that run, and it would have probably taken that momentum into a win. And how many times did he fail? He failed a lot more than he succeeded. And I mean a lot. And he failed in an area where they got you so that they can cover for the stuff that they have now. They have Mookie Betts, who's on the other side. Still has value, but he's on the other side regardless of what he does from here on out anyways. Freddie Freeman is on the other side. No matter how good he is, still hitting 300. He's on the other side. He's going the other way. He's not at peak anymore. He's going the other way. Teoscar Hernandez, same situation. Edman, in and out from injury, played well, plays horrible, plays well, plays horrible. We needed Kyle Tucker, who was the only guy that was healthy. We needed him to be that kind of cover. They paid him that money to say, hey, look, we were desperate for a gold glover in right field, and we were desperate for someone who's got even splits. And he has been disappointing in both. And I mean horrid on the field. Usually the field is like, okay, if you're doing shitty at the plate, make up for it like Bellinger used to make up for it, or Pies used to make up for it on the defense, right? He has been horrible on defense, and that's where I really got that was the surprise. When he was struggling at hitting the beginning of the year, my first response was, I'm not worried about Kyle Tucker, because I just had assumed that he was going to be valuable at right field. At least he'll play. Usually when things like this happen, they'll still at least play well on the field. He has been horrible. You could say he's been even worse on the field than he was on at bat. So for me, I am not buying into the fact that he's been on base 5 straight games. I don't give a shit about any of that. I'm about impact hits. That's why we put up with Teo as long as we do, because every time he's in the playoffs, guess what? Dodgers are down, what? 3-1, 3-2, and all of a sudden here comes Teo in the NLDS. Hits a freaking grand slam, hits a 3-run homer, and they win the game. So you gotta take that one. You gotta wait that one out. Clutch hitting, there's no value there. It's priceless. So you deal with Teo's situation because every time that guy's in a series, he does something. Even a pop-up that gets a player from third to home, he does that. Even when he doesn't get a hit, he has a knack for it. So Kyle Tucker has, at this point, unless he does that in the playoffs, this was a massive bust. And again, the Dodgers have allocated themselves so much depth in an area where it is imperative to have depth if you can do it, which is rare. Again, it takes a lot of money and a lot of resources. And that is the Dodgers may have the greatest starting pitching staff that will be going into this year's playoffs. And that's not hyperbole, that's not an exaggeration. This may be the greatest staff that's ever been assembled in a playoff series. And we're talking about a team that had Tom Glavine, John Smoltz, Greg Maddux, and Avery back in the 90s. Now, Avery wasn't necessarily, he was there, he was good, but really it was the three. But this team has five. This team has five starters, and only four are going to pitch. And then you have somebody like Roki who's coming into his own. He's probably a year away. He's starting to find his groove. Oh, and by the way, your seventh best pitcher was an all-star this year. Yeah. And you have a pitcher in Lauer who has lost one game since he's been a Dodger. Only lost one in the games that he's pitched. So the Dodgers are the Dodgers are actually doing better record-wise this year than they had been the last 2 years. So they won 93 games last year, and then they won 98 the year before. Looking at how they finished the last two seasons in September, it's looking like that this team may end up winning 100 games based off those Septembers. And should they win 100 games, which means they have to go 20 and 11 the next 31 games. That's pretty doable. I think it's pretty doable. Does it matter? No. Would it be cool? Yeah. It'd be cool if they got 100 games and were the first seed, sure. Plus, it would be nice to see them win a World Series for the first time in their existence, winning 100 games. Dodgers have never won a World Series when they've won 100 games. The closest they got was 99. 99. They won 99 games. I think it was the 63 team. Last year they won the World Series at home too, by the way. So we can always find something to cheer for, right? We want Shohei to win his third straight MVP as a Dodger. We want to get the 1 seed. We want him to win 100 games. Otherwise, what are we doing during the regular season? What are we here for? Are we just going to say, oh, well, we're just going to enjoy and sort of coast? No, I like to be invested. I like to feel the nerves. I like to enjoy winning and dealing with the losing because it makes the regular season fun. And there's value in the regular season. It is an absolute value in the regular season, and the Dodgers have validated it. I think they've validated it very much. They're the best road team in the league right now too, which was not their cup of tea last year during the regular season. But for some reason, they switched it on in the playoffs. They lost one road game in four series. Granted, the first series they didn't have to go on a road. There was a wild card run for two games at home, but they won both games in Philly, both games in Milwaukee, and three games in Toronto. They went 7-1 on the road last year. That doesn't get talked about enough. Not only that, but you won. You won the last three games in the World Series on the road. Three games in a row on the road, which wasn't, baseball's like that, right? You had Houston lose every home game during their run in 2019. And then you had the Rangers win every road game against, coincidentally, the Houston Astros a couple years later, right? I thought that record was never going to be broken, by the way. I was surprised. But baseball is a weird game. And it's got everybody's panties in a bunch, too, to boot. Because, again, people hate winners. And it has nothing to do with LA Dodgers and Otani and Mark Wall. That's all a facade, guys. These losers, these cockroaches, we're bitching and whining about the Kansas City Chiefs for 5 years. We're whining, they only win because of the refs, and Patrick Mahomes, his wife and his brother and his this and his that. Like the losers just seem to always are front and center, and it's important that. And like the the cockroach is the perfect example of these people because cockroaches are everywhere, and we'll never get rid of them. That's why it's the perfect term for these people. They're cockroaches. It's just the degree of how bad the cockroaches are. Do they bring value? Cockroaches have value, right? They're part of the food chain, right? They could be. You could have a lizard that eats cockroaches, and that's where their value is, and that's what these people are. They're some of them do have value in a comedic way, maybe, and in a way where you can go back after your team wins and poke fun at them. That's the value in having that cockroach chirping the whole time. And now after your team wins a championship, you go back and go, what are you gonna do about it now? You got to sit here for another calendar year and know that the LA Dodgers are the champs. I mean, the Dodgers have been the world champions for almost 2 years now. That's a lot of days, man. What are we at? 700 days now? That's a lot. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, it's not, but in sports, it is, especially in baseball. 25 years without a repeat champion? And the way they won it? Dude, I saw so many Giant posts, San Francisco Giant posts, fans during that run. Man, they thought Toronto had it after game one. Man, they thought they had it after game four. Man, did they have it after game five. The best one was the stuff after the game three win, though, the 18-inning game. That was the best one because there were so many instances in that game where Toronto was able to, it was over. They were going to win that game. And then Otani hits that home run where they should have walked them. And of course, he never got a chance to swing after that, right? They learned a lesson. And then you had the throw out of Schneider at the plate after I think it was Jimenez hit a double or something. All these little instances, and then you'd see these quotes, these posts, and the disdain and the hate. And of course, they always got to revert back. Oh, our championships are better than your champion. I'm like, what are you talking about? Who talks like that? What do you mean your championships are more legit than another team's championships? You think that you have any idea how hard it is to win championships? What do you mean your championships are harder? You don't win 3 championships in 6 years from luck. You got to be good, whether it's 60 games, whether it's 162 games. What about back-to-back 162 games? Isn't that more validation? How do you even tell your stupid-ass pea brain that makes any sense. It doesn't, because you react like a damn insect. You're a fucking stupid. And these people need to be told that they're stupid in a serious way. I'm not calling you a cockroach because I'm trying to be all kind of clever. You are a cockroach. They're cockroaches. The Dodgers are the most well-run sports team on the planet. It doesn't matter Mark Walter's situation or not. The way the LA Dodgers run shit is number one. It's so good that they're likely going to pass the Yankees, which would have never in a billion years. I would have never expected this. They're going to have more value than the Yankees, especially after they three-peat. Think about that. The New York Yankees, the number one sports team on the planet. There is no team, guys, that is more popular and more known than the New York Yankees. None. 1903. Mickey Mantle, Joe DiMaggio, Babe Ruth, Reggie Jackson, Derek Jeter. 25 championships in 1 century. 25 championships in 1 century. They've won 1 in this century, and that's it. Well, 2, sorry. 24. 24 in the 20th century. And then 2 in this century. In 2000 and 2009. And you're going to likely see the LA Dodgers three-peat, win their 4th championship in 7 years. And this is not going to stop, guys. They may not win 10 in a row, but during the Ohtani era, I'm pretty positive they're going to win at least 6 out of the 10. They're going to lose at some point, but they're going to likely get 6 out of 10 with Ohtani being there and having the ownership be the way it is. So this is the reality of that. And what that means is, if that happens, they're now going to pass the St. Louis Cardinals in the National League. Cardinals, historic team, historic history. Stan Musial, Albert Pujols, Tony La Russa, all that stuff. Bob Gibson. The class of the National League at this point, probably tied with the Dodgers, even though they have more titles. But the moment they pass the St. Louis Cardinals in championships, there ain't going to be any more tie. It's going to be the Yankees at 1, Dodgers at 2 in terms of all time. Because it's going to be a while before they catch the Yankees with championships. I don't know if that's ever going to happen. Not going to happen in our lifetime. My lifetime, anyways. But could happen by the end of the century. Because I've pegged the LA Dodgers as the team of the 21st century. I could see the Guggenheims run this thing all the way through for the foreseeable future. The Guggenheim's been around for a long time, guys. They even mentioned them in the Titanic. So they've been around for a while. They're not going anywhere. Mark Walter might sell his 27%, but Guggenheim's ain't gonna be leaving this shit. Not with Ohtani in his prime, doing what he's doing, bringing in $1 billion a year. There ain't no way. So y'all better get used to the Dodgers being around and winning championships. They may not win every single year. That's not possible. They're gonna be winning a lot, and they are gonna likely pass the St. Louis Cardinals here in a few years, and they will own the National League at that point, and they're going to continue to own the majors in general in the current times. And that's it. That's something you're all going to have to live with. Is anyone showing Dodger games on the Discord? Yes, Drip. Sports Baby has a setup now, and he will have it on there pretty much regularly from now on. Chris, I need you to text me when I get off the show. I'm gonna have you come into the chat. You need to be on there so you kind of update on everything. Give me a wiener. To the bullpen. Oxnard is known for having the best tortas, of course. I did not know that. Hey, Joe, is Turlock known to have some tortas? Oh, yeah. Not as much as LA, though. So, Joe, you want to talk about Vari visiting, couldn't win a game? Yeah, Vari was the ultimate he was the ultimate jinx in terms of Dodgers winning. Other than that, everything else was good. Vari was a great guest. We had a great time. I was sad to see him go, but we had a good time. We had a really good time. We were able to go to a. We got lucky. The first coffee joint we went to was A plus, and we were able to get there uh, regularly for him to have his coffee. Taught me a little bit about his coffee situation, which was I don't drink coffee, but I respected it. And went to the Dodger games. We went to good restaurants, my cousin's restaurant, and we were we were we were very happy to have Vari here at the house with the fam. Having Vari here was like having one of my cousins here. It was seamless. It was a really good time. Uh, really enjoyed it. Looking forward to another meetings, hopefully in the near future. Hopefully this next time I'm gonna go see him and his family because I really want to meet his family. Tortas University at Oxnard. My son. Oh, really tough. Oh, we're gonna have to talk about that. We'll talk more about that. Torta University is located in. Well, I mean Stanislaus State. There's a state college there called Stanislaus State. You could call it Torta State, maybe. Yeah, it's a. You got a pretty good sized Hispanic culture there. Tortas. Yeah, I'd say there's probably a good amount of tortas there too. That would make sense. Pies had Gold Glove numbers before he was hit. 9992, 3 errors and over 350. Yeah, that's the bummer there, Johnny. Him getting injured. That's the first thing I thought of was his chance at maybe getting a Gold Glove, but it's not likely because I think they're going to give it to PCA. So PCA's got slightly better numbers at center field, so it is. He's probably going to get the platinum Gold Glove for his center field work. So he wasn't likely going to win, so it's okay. But what we need from Pajes is we need him to be fresh for the playoffs. We absolutely need him to come with the bat like he has all year. That is the most important part. Best memories of Kobe being on off court on Kobe Bryant Day. Oh man, I've been trying to stay away from this because I'm just sad that he's not here. But you can't forget the '08 Olympic performance. Kobe went 36 and 0 in international play. By the way, he never lost an international game. He was 36 and 0. That's with FIBA. That's with the Olympics. That's with the qualification rounds. 36 and 0. He never lost in those games. And then outside the court, best memories. What's the best memory off the court? Him winning the Oscar. Kobe Bryant retires from basketball as one of the greatest. 5 championships, 20-year career, 12 all defensive teams, all that stuff, and then he retires and then wins an Oscar 17 months later. Phenomenal, absolute, beyond tragic, and the biggest tragedy of that is my buddy and I were, and my buddy's an even bigger Kobe fan than I am. We were talking about Gianna the 6 months before they passed, and we were already talking about, man, when Gianna declares for the draft after she's done at UConn, we're going to be watching Gianna Bryant play in the WNBA. We were excited about watching the WNBA, and we would be watching right now. We'd be watching with her playing. That right there is beyond tragic. If you think the WNBA would have been is popular now with what's been going on with all this stupid shit, Gianna Bryant would have been the Babe Ruth of women's basketball. It would have been, she likely would have probably made it profitable. See, a lot of people don't know this. The W, everybody's arguing about what the W in WNBA means. You know what it means, guys? In reality, it means write-off. The WNBA is a write-off for the NBA because it loses money every year. They would not function without the NBA subsidizing it. But if Gianna Bryant was playing, she would have changed the culture. She would have changed the business. That is tragic in so many ways. Number one, not seeing her play and watching Kobe see his offspring own a league, much like how Tiger Woods owned the PGA. Yeah, PGA was there before Tiger, but PGA don't mean shit without Tiger, man. That guy owned that league more even than Jordan owned the NBA, more than Babe Ruth owned the MLB. Gianna would have had that impact in the WNBA. She would have been a Tiger Woods impact. Why do tortas like micheladas? I don't know. That's a good question. I know why they like. I know why they like Flamin' Hot Cheetos. The same reason why I like them. They're addictive and they taste good. I'm assuming that that's probably what the micheladas are for. But I'm not a. I mean, I've had them, but I don't. If I'm gonna have a Bloody Mary beer type drink, I'd rather just go with the Bloody Mary all the way. Just give me vodka. I'm not a big. I can drink it, but I prefer. The reason why I don't like it is because beer doesn't stay cold long enough. It drives me nuts. If I can get a michelada where the beer is ice, almost frozen cold the whole time, I might like it a lot. But beer warms up too much, too fast. Raleigh hit 3 home runs tonight. Wow, that's good for him, man. Good for him. He really needed that. I don't know if it's going to matter for Seattle, but in terms of the standings, but good for him, man. What he's been going through is the fact that he kind of got screwed out of the MVP last year. I know that Judge had an amazing year, and you didn't want it to be a fatigue type thing, but Cal Raleigh was really valuable for that Seattle team last year, and he had the stats, and he's a switch hitter, and he's a catcher. I think that should have played more into the fact of him winning, but it is what it is. So we have, did you see Jacob Young climb that 13-foot wall and catch the ball? That guy is one of the... Yeah, I did see the highlights. You're seeing more and more of that Ken Griffey type athleticism in Major League Baseball now, and becomes routine now, I guess, for a lot of these guys. Tucker lollygags in the outfield. I think he just lollygags in general. He's just whatever. Chris Tucker. There's no doubt there. Our bullpen has cost us 10 victories this year, too. How about those bums? Our Achilles heel, our bullpen, our blowpen. Well, for what it's worth, Johnny, they blew 27 games last year. So there's a little bit of an improvement. Tucker needs some Susan Sarandon. Well, they've been talking about how Kirsten Watson has been... that there's a noticeable change in him when he gets interviewed by Kirsten Watson, and of course, coincidentally, when that starts to come out, Kirsten Watson comes out, I guess, with some significant other in one of her posts. So yeah, nothing gets you going like a pretty woman. What's up, Zariah? I think I know who that is. And Braves won one measly title. Yeah. They won one measly title, and they told their iconic, legendary player, we're gonna go get Matt Olson. And then you had all that mix-up where, wait a minute, the agent didn't tell us anything. The agent didn't say anything. Blaming the agent. Dude, how many times have I heard that before? Look, man, if you want something, go get it. Don't wait for the agent, okay? You fucking break. But thank you for doing that, by the way, because Freddie Freeman, whether he wears a cap or not going to the Hall of Fame that says LA or Atlanta, he will always be known as a Dodger legend to the general public and anyone who gives a shit. So it is what it is. Sorry. 4 20-game winners. Tough. That's a good one. You're talking about 95? Was it the 95 team? With Musina. I can't remember the other guys. I have to look back on that one. That's a good memory there, Tough. Pirates 3-2 final over. So Dodgers right now are 9.5 games ahead of the Padres. It looks like this division is slowly going to be won here in probably a few weeks. Last year's World Series had to be the greatest comeback I ever saw. Uh, there's an argument there. I think a lot of people will say World Series wise. I think a lot of people do talk about the 2016 comeback because Cleveland was up 3-1. The Cubs came back from a 3-1 deficit to win it. But as far as how it ended, the last two games, yeah, I'd say there's definitely an argument because it has. I don't think I ever saw a seesaw back and forth the way those two games played out. It was a constant tension to the point where I almost had a heart attack, guys. I was dying. I was dying. I did not watch the majority of game six. I was having heart attacks like a fucking idiot. I was having a heart attack over a stupid ass baseball game. So I didn't watch the majority of game six. Ended up going to I was in Arizona visiting my cousin. And we ended up going to a Halloween party, and then the game was on the screen. I ended up catching the last parts, the important parts. And even then, I remember I screamed when Teo, I think, struck out in the seventh inning. It was the seventh inning. He struck out on a stupid pitch. Typical regular season Teo lazy strikeout, right? And I was pissed. And I scared the shit out of everybody and we were outside too. The TVs were outside. Scared the shit out of everybody because I screamed out of frustration. So I finally was like, man, I can't fuck up everybody's evening here. I walked down the street just watching the game on my phone and watched that last inning where Kike got the double play on Barger. So, and then I was excited after that. Watched the beginning of game 7 until Bo Bichette hit that 3-run homer. As soon as he hit that 3-run homer, turned it off again. And then just kind of followed it on my phone because my heart started going back into fibrillation mode. Fibrillation mode. And then finally I started watching, I came back after I was watching the ticker where Muncy hit the homer and brought it into one run deficit, and then I obviously saw the Rojas home run, watched it the rest of the way, and of course saw the important parts in the end there to see the win. So yeah, I would say there's a lot of truth to that. Even if I wasn't a Dodger fan, I think the last year's World Series was probably the greatest World Series I've ever seen. And I really thought the '91 World Series was amazing. Same with the 2001, but the gut wrenching back and forth with the way it played out with this team, the last two games, and then of course the game 3, it was by far the most unpredictable, most anxiety-ridden series you could ever watch. After that talk, I'm buying a Yankee hat. You're a funny guy. Thanks, Sports Baby. Appreciate it. At least 6-10. Yeah, at least six. At least six. I just don't see how this team is not going to win 4 more before Shohei's time is up. There's too much talent, too much good business. Let's see. When we'll have the games on Discord drip. Awesome time. Thanks to Joe and his family. Yes, thank you, sir. Joe that died chocolate dude. Joe that died chocolate dude. What? Make Joe Cousins restaurant. Oh, that. Are you talking about the dessert? Joe, that iced chocolate was good. Yeah, man, that cold chocolate. It really was chocolate milk. Was amazing. Shohei or Armstrong, who is leading the MVP race? Well, the odds are. I guess PCH has the odds going for him. I don't know what the hell that means. Shohei has pitched 14 games. I believe he's got 6 more starts before the season's over. If he maintains his below 2 ERA and has 20 starts and wins, let's say 4 out of the next 6, and he loses, let's say 1, he will be 12-3 with a, let's say, 1.95 ERA in 20 starts. And then let's say he ends up with 37 home runs and 92 RBIs. And his OPS is there and all that. He's winning the MVP. Has to be Shohei because he pitched earlier, yes. Are you concerned for Pajes? I'm only concerned if he's playoff Pajes, which has not been good. But I think he'll heal up. He's doing surgery, or he might have done surgery, on his hand to speed up the process. So that's a good thing. And again, Will Smith broke his hand last year late in the season, and he ended up having one of the more epic playoff runs. So I broke my hand my senior year in high school, and I was a center. And my hand was stronger after 6 weeks once I got my hand out of the cast. So, and I still have that bump. I still have the bump on my hand from the extra bone. So I think he'll be fine. It's just his mental makeup. Will he be able to hit in the playoffs? They got away with it last year because they could. This year, if Teo sucks and Tucker sucks, Teo's shown that he doesn't suck in the playoffs. But let's say he does. And then, of course, Kike doesn't come in there and help. Well, yeah, we need Pajes to be Pajes regular season in the playoffs on offense really badly. I think he'll be fine on defense. I don't think anything will be affected there. 66. Frank Robertson era was Orioles 420. Yeah, it was before my time. So there's definitely, I'd say that might be the greatest set of pitchers of all time. You can't, that Orioles team was a juggernaut. McNally, Seller, Dobson, and can't remember last game. Anyone remember that? I'm gonna have to look at that tough. Now you want me to get into the history thing. I love when I get into that. So thank you for saying that. PCH can go to hell. You mean PCA or the PC at the highway? Oh, it's a good way to end the show. Oh, it's a pretty good way to end the show. Thanks, Chris. That's funny. If you mean PCH, go to hell. I understand that part. But if you meant PCA, go to hell. That makes sense too. There's another month, guys. Anything can happen in a month, and I'm gonna put my bet on Ohtani winning the MVP because he's freaking Shohei Ohtani. But anyways, I want to thank you all for being here. Sorry for the beginning there without the chat. I want to thank you all for being here. Those who are the regulars, those who are new here. Again, if you're new here, please subscribe, hit the notification button, share. This is the experiment. You've obviously seen the experiment here the last 2 hours plus. We talk about all the sports. We talk about things outside the sports. There's really not anything I won't talk about, even if you bring up some political stuff. I'll talk about it, and women hygiene and all that. I know I've gotten some questions on that as well. We're trying to entertain here as much as we can, of course, and talk about sports as much as we can as well. But again, I want you all to have a phenomenal week as the baseball season starts to unwind, as the football season starts to come up, and of course as basketball season starts to trickle in as well. And we'll be talking about all 3 sports here probably for the next month or 2 because they will be playing. And we're very excited about that. But until then, have a good morning, have a good afternoon, and a good evening wherever you are. And until next time, see you next time.